Welcome to Break the Rules with Dr. Lauren Lax, a podcast dedicated to quieting the noise in the health, food, and fitness world. Dr. Lauren is a leading nutritionist, therapist, and functional medicine practitioner on a mission to help others thrive in their own lives, mind, body, and soul. And now, your host, Dr. Lauren Lax.
Well, hello. Welcome to another edition of the Break the Rules podcast, where we talk about quieting the noise and the health, food, and fitness world. Today, we are talking all about liver and detox and how to love your liver, understanding the liver, and just really navigating some of the noise out there about liver health, liver cleanses, etc. So this is an episode you don't want to miss because we have expert Wendy Myers in the house, and she is the founder of MyersDetox.com. She is a heavy metals detox expert and functional diagnostic nutritionist, as well as the #1 bestselling author of Limitless Energy, How to Detox Toxic Metals to End Exhaustion and Chronic Fatigue. She hosts the Myers Detox Podcast about all things related to detox. And she's ultimately just passionate about educating people on the importance of detox to live a long, disease-free life. Sounds like a dream. And Wendy, thanks so much for coming on the show to talk about a topic that's a really hot topic, the liver and detox. And if you could just give us a little bit of background about who you are and what got you doing this work that you're doing in the world.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me, because I love talking about the liver and toxins and heavy metals, because a lot of people are struggling with their health. They can't figure out what's going on with them. They're going to all these different doctors and trying all these different supplements and different diets. And they're like, why do I feel like crap when I do so much for my health? And that's exactly where I found myself when I was 37, which is about 10 years ago. And I just had a baby, and I just couldn't lose weight. And I was taking perfect care of myself. Organic food, making it at home, growing it, farmers markets, had a huge bag of the highest quality supplements I was taking, exercising a few days a week. I mean, just doing everything right. And I was having fits of anger. I was brain fogged. I couldn't lose weight. Like I mentioned, I was tired. I was having trouble sleeping. And then I went to the doctor, figure out what's wrong with me. I did $4,000 worth of functional medical tests. And the doctor said at 37, I had the hormone levels of a menopausal woman, which I was thrilled to hear. and then I had low thyroid function and just a whole host of nutrient deficiencies, nothing major, but still, I just was thinking, I do so much. Why do I have all these issues? And then adrenal fatigue. I had adrenal fatigue too. So I had low sex hormone production, low stress hormone production, and low thyroid hormone production. And that's where a lot of people and women find themselves in their 30s and even 20s because of all these different toxins. And so I didn't put these pieces of the puzzle together at that time. But as I started researching it, going on Dr. Google, I found that all these different toxins and mercury and all these different heavy metals dramatically impact your body's ability to produce and convert hormones. And my doctor wanted to put me on thyroid hormone replacement and hormone replacement therapy. And I just was like, isn't that for like old ladies? Isn't that for like older women that are going through menopause? Like that was not going to be an option for me. And so I just decided to figure out what caused this and what can I do to reverse it. But, in all the research I've done over the last 10 years, heavy metals and chemicals can cause any type of symptom, most notably fatigue, brain fog, dementia, high blood pressure, diabetes. I think toxins are the #1 cause of diabetes, digestive issues, leaky gut. I mean, it's crazy. All the different symptoms and diseases whose underlying root cause are heavy metals and toxins. And that goes to poor liver function. The liver can't handle all this stuff. It has so many different jobs. It just isn't able to detox, properly. It's a bottleneck for so many people out there. So, you have to have a conversation about liver health and function if you're planning to detox all these toxins out of your body.
Yeah, no, it's such a wild west too of like, we understand that there's all these scary toxins out there, and then there's this liver that's supposed to detox, and then it needs support. In your case, like as you dove in and you're like, okay, I don't want to just address the hormone imbalance. I want to address what caused this. Do you already also done heavy metal testing or mold testing, or what did you find were thematic for you of some of those triggers?
Yeah. So for me, I didn't know at first that toxins were the cause of my hormone issues, but I started looking on Dr. Google and finding out that different toxins impact all your different hormones. So I found hair mineral analysis. I found a website that was offering that, and very reluctantly tried it. And I just read all this stuff like hair mineral analysis is not accurate and it's a quackery and all this stuff. But I did it anyways. And I found out I had mercury and I had arsenic. And then later I found out I had uranium and cesium and thallium and cadmium. And I thought, well, probably not fostering health in my body. And I started focusing on a program to remove them, which was really not necessarily chelation, where you're going in and taking something to grab onto that metal and take it out. It was just mineral therapy. It was just taking minerals to push this stuff out and, just facilitating the body's ability to push this stuff out. Liver protocols like doing castor oil packs and coffee enemas, try to liver flush, doing infrared sauna, kind of just doing this great program from Dr. Lawrence Wilson, which is the first program I tried. And then just over time learning about this, I was so passionate, I started MyersDetox.com to teach others about how to properly detox their body.
Very cool. Experience is always the best teacher. And I love how it can lead us on paths that we may have been not going on before. Let's talk about testing first. Testing for heavy metals, again, mold, etc. Talk about what are discrepancies in types of testing out there, and also how to test properly, like provoking a test.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I do with clients is a hair mineral analysis. And so that's a great screening tool. It's not perfect because, not different metals come out in different ways in the body. So they have different ways of exiting the body. So some metals you're going to see in the hair, like uranium. Some metals you're going to see in the urine, and like cesium and thallium. And some metals you're only going to see in the stool, like silver and cadmium. And so to get the best picture of your body's body burden of heavy metals, you want to use those three tests. Blood tests, which are the typical metals tests you'll get at your doctor, usually only test for 4 metals. And the other issue with that is that, and then there's dozens of metals, but the issue also is that, your body just doesn't let these toxins roam around in your bloodstream to be tested for. It wants to sequester them away in your fat tissue, your nerve tissue, and other places in the body. So the body very quickly processes these toxins and gets rid of them, so you're not able to test for them via the blood. The only exception of that being Dr. Chris Shade's blood test. That one has a different method. So that one is something that I would recommend to people. As far as chemicals, I don't do chemical testing because I think it's a waste of people's money. I don't like doing testing that I think is just pointless, because we all have chemicals. 90% of us have glyphosate or more. The World Health Organization has done tests about every 5 years where they find we have between 500 and 700 chemicals in our body. So we already know you have chemicals. You just have to, work on a sensible detox plan, make detox part of your lifestyle to get this stuff out of your body that we know that you have. But when it comes to heavy metals, testing is warranted because different substances and supplements remove different metals. And some people have strange outlier metals that aren't very common, that are a big answer to why they're having the symptoms that they're having. So that needs to be a little bit more specific in its approach. And that's why it's good to do heavy metals testing, just to see what you're working with.
Mm-hmm. Do you provoke any of those tests? Like, do you have a client take any supplements, or what do you do?
I don't. So hair, you don't have to provoke. Stool, you do not have to provoke. Urine, you can provoke that. But with the provocation test, one, you have to be a medical doctor to provide a prescription DMSA. And so I'm not, so I don't do that. But it is good to be able to do that. However, some people, especially if they're ill, they're not able to do a provocation test. It can make them very, very ill. And so that's just not an option for people that have multiple chemical sensitivity or who know they can't do detox. They've tried it in the past and they can't, or they have multiple health diagnoses or known metal toxicity. You don't want to do a provocation test. The provocation also has limitations in that we typically only see mercury and lead and nickel because DMSA favors those metals. And so there's only so many seats on the bus, so to speak. So it's going to get mercury first and then lead and nickel. So it's great for seeing those, but we already know that everyone has those metals. So you cannot exist on the planet and not have lead. Everyone has mercury. It is statistically impossible to not have those metals. Not everyone has nickel, but it's very ubiquitous in our environment. So doing a provocation test to me isn't really necessary because we know people have those metals. But on a urine test, I'm really looking for cesium and thallium, and I'm looking for other metals that may be underrepresented if you do use DMSA provocation. So there's pluses and minuses to using it and not using it.
And what about then mycotoxin or mold testing? Is that something that you run as well?
Yeah, I don't do typical mold testing, but I do a bioenergetics program a scan that tests for about 10 different types of mold. I also recommend people, if they suspect mold toxicity, to instead of going through all this kind of, I don't want to say outdated, but a lot of the tests that people run, you can only test for so many molds. And so I prefer doing bioenergetic feedback scans with a thing called a Spooky 2. And it's a type of just device where you can do a scan at home. It gives you all the different frequencies that you might have of different molds, including other types of pathogens. And then you run a program to just get rid of those, like an opposite frequency to just, destroy the mold or the pathogen or what have you. And it's a much, much cleaner, less expensive, way to go about addressing infections in the body, which we all have. But the traditional mold testing is just, for the price of a mold test, you can just get this Spooky 2 device and run a scan yourself and address it very simply, rather than a lot of, I think, ways of addressing the body are just very expensive and not as effective and, in my opinion, a little outdated.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I'm sure our listeners would love to save money wherever they can because it can add up and sometimes doesn't always make a difference too from a testing and protocol perspective on whatever it is you're targeting. Talk a little bit about, lay of the land. Toxins we know are everywhere. Molds we know are everywhere. Mycotoxins. Is it safe to say 99.9% of people have them? What have you found just in your practice and just doing this over the years is the lay of the land?
Yeah, infections and pathogens are a huge problem, huge burden on the liver because your liver has to ID and detect and, tag this stuff. And, the liver has a huge role in being on the frontline defense of your immunity. And when you have a congested liver and you have all these different heavy metals and chemicals, a lot of people have trouble with detoxification and they know they want to detox. They know they want to get rid of their mercury, but they have all these pathogens and these mycotoxin, parasite poop and all this stuff, candida really stuffing up all of their detox pathways. So when I'm working with clients, I'm definitely looking at those issues. And, I have a few different methods for addressing them, but I just assume everyone has these. And especially with EMF and higher levels of frequencies with EMF, with 4G and now 5G, rolling out. These frequencies really irritate these pathogens and they cause them to replicate more rapidly. People also, their immunity is dramatically depressed with exposure to EMF frequencies from cell phone and wireless internet and their computer. And we're just bathing in this stuff. And then additionally, people have more permeable cell membranes with the EMF, so pathogens are more easily able to infect cells with the immune system less able to detect and clear them. And so that's why a lot of people are so ill and fatigued and brain fogged. So to successfully address this stuff, I use a combination of bioenergetics and heavy metal detoxification, addressing the body in a physical way. And I find that, people can very, very quickly, within a matter of months, start feeling a lot better using those types of modalities and addressing things in a holistic way. Not, let's start with the mold first and then the parasites and then the candida and now let's do detox and all this stuff. Doing it in a certain order can take a really long time. So I think why do people want to do detox or clear their liver? They just want to feel better. So I want to try to, as quickly as possible, address symptoms and reduce that timeline for feeling better.
Yeah. So when you talk about reducing symptoms and addressing like a holistic picture, you're focusing on the cleansing channels, like the different pathways of cleansing, and what would those entail? I know, like you've got skin, liver, kidneys. What else? Lungs. Could talk a little bit about the different cleansing pathways that do get clogged and then how you would address like supporting it holistically.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last thing you want to do is, if you don't feel good, to start some detox program and chelating mercury and unleashing all this mercury into your system when your liver is clogged and your kidneys aren't working so good. You're just throwing gasoline on the fire. Big mistake that people make, because people, even myself in the past, get all excited. I hear somebody talk or I hear about a supplement and I'm like, yeah, I need a detox and try to do stuff. But, there's an order in which you have to do things. And so you need to make sure that, number one, your liver is, you're working on improving your liver function. And so how do you do that? So number one, liver supporting herbs is great. I came up with a supplement called Daily Detox, just has a lot of, liver supporting herbs in it. Coffee enemas are probably one of the most effective things to clear the liver. A lot of people not interested in those at all because they are not glamorous. But you feel like $1 million after you do them. I mean, I could not live without them. And I've had a lot of people at first go, yeah, I'm going to pass on that. Thanks. I'm going to do everything you say except for the coffee enemas. But a lot of clients give it a chance and then they start doing them and they just go crazy and they're doing them every day because they feel amazing afterwards. But it takes a minute to get the hang of it and get your head around it. So I have lots of information on my site about how to do coffee enemas. And then also liver flushes, really key. A lot of people, over the years, you just build up kind of debris and little cholesterol stones in your liver and gallbladder. And it's great to do a flush to kind of flush all that out. People can have reduction in food sensitivities, reduction in pain, better blood sugar control. The liver just is responsible for so many different activities in the body. They have better digestion. They lose weight, cleansing the liver. And so those are really the most, effective 3 things that you can do for clearing out the liver pathway. Mm-hmm. And then additionally, I don't really focus on cleansing the kidneys so much, but people can do lymph stuff. Like, a lot of people have stagnant lymph. You just need to get out and exercise more. Walking is usually good enough to get the job done. You can do rebounding, skin brushing, things like that. And getting binders on board. For a lot of people, you don't want to be doing anything as far as detoxification is concerned unless you have a binder. And so the binder can be fantastic in just absorbing like a sponge any toxins you're releasing into your system. If you're doing a coffee enema or you're doing an infrared sauna or taking a detox supplement, you want a binder on board. And so that's super, super important. Probably the number one mistake people make when they're trying to detox and clean up their body is not taking a binder.
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about binders then, what they do. And then a lot of people run into the roadblock of feeling constipated on a binder. So talk a little bit about how you address that.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very common. So binders, what is that? They're fibers. They're fiber. And a lot of people, they start increasing their fiber intake, which most people don't get enough of. And, big surprise, they get constipated. So a lot of people also dehydrated. So you need to make sure you're drinking plenty of water if you're taking a binder. And but a lot of people don't get hydration right. This is another kind of wrench in detox and health. A lot of people are not drinking the right kind of water, even if they're drinking enough of it. Water has to be structured. And if it's not structured, it's not going to absorb very well. If water is damaged, like reverse osmosis water, it's not going to penetrate your cells. It's just going to slosh around in your stomach and you'll feel kind of like a little nauseated because you're drinking water that isn't absorbing and then not hydrating. And so this is common with a lot of the big name brand waters. They're just reverse osmosis and just don't hydrate you. Or people buy reverse osmosis systems and they're not, mineralizing and restructuring the water and it's not hydrating them. So I have a lot of info on my site on myersdetox.com about that. If you're mineral deficient, you're not going to hold on to water either. So have to get water right. But as far as binders, I really like citrus pectin. I created a binder called Citra Cleanse, which is a grapefruit citrus pectin. And it's also got fulvic humic acid, which works as a great binder as well. And so, but there's lots of great binders. There's a Takasumi bamboo charcoal. I'm not a big fan of regular activated charcoal. That depletes your minerals as well. And so that it's not discriminating enough where you're getting rid of metals and chemicals, but you're also depleting all your minerals. And so it's fine if you go out for night drinking to take some charcoal. You won't be hungover the next day. But it'll save your liver from having to deal with it. But long-term, taking a binder on a daily basis, I like my Citra Cleanse, or you can rotate things as well. I'm not a big fan of diatomaceous earth because that can be very problematic if it gets into your bloodstream, if you have leaky gut. So I'm not a big fan of that, but there's lots of great binders out there.
Yeah. Thank you for clearing that up and helping people with that. Moving on, let's just talk about just liver function in general. So that being the master detoxifier, we're talking about supporting the liver, but talk to us just a little bit more about the roles of the liver beyond just detox as well. And just what is supporting our liver actually doing when we're supporting our liver?
Yeah, so it's amazing how much the liver does. It does over 500 different things in your body. And, what's scary is that 100 million people have fatty liver disease just in the US because it tends to, where you find metabolic syndrome and diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, high cholesterol, you also have fatty liver. And that's a contributing factor in this metabolic syndrome. So if you have that, guess what? You have blood sugar control issues, you have high cholesterol, you have trouble digesting fats, you don't make enough bile, which helps to digest fats, you're more prone to gallstones, you can have a weak or vulnerable immune system because the liver regulates the homeostasis of your immune system, and it plays a role in immune surveillance, defending it against, viruses and bacteria. And it also synthesizes and primes immune cells like lymphocytes, which are critical for effective immune response. And it clears pathogens that have been killed. So if you are sick and dealing with, your body's getting rid of the virus, your liver's got to deal with all that too. So it can take longer to recover from illness if your liver is congested. Also, you can have hormone issues because the liver metabolizes excess hormones. So a lot of women that have a lot of plastic exposure or pesticides, they have these xenoestrogens, these synthetic estrogens in their body. The liver has to metabolize that and break it down so women can become estrogen dominant if their livers aren't functioning optimally. And that can lead to like PMS, menstrual disturbances, fibroids, moodiness, weight gain, fatigue. The liver converts sugar into glycogen, which is the storage form of energy. And if your liver is burnt out from toxins, your glucose and energy and regulation can be impaired. I mentioned weight loss. Your hormones are regulated in part by the liver. And, it's just amazing how much the liver affects your thyroid hormones, your stress hormones, including your sex hormones. And also, if your liver isn't able to process all these different toxins, the body stores the toxins in the fat cells. A lot of these toxins are fat soluble. They store in your fat cells. So a lot of people are doing these keto diets and low carb, or they just can't get past a certain plateau. That's because your liver is typically congested and the body will not let go that storage facility, those fat cells. Mm-hmm. And so it's really crucial to clear the liver if you're trying to lose weight or can't lose that last 15 pounds, no matter what you do. Your body won't let go of that last 10, 15 pounds. It needs it to protect the body. Also, a lot of people that have poor sleep, the liver starts working in the evening. So it starts really going to town, detoxing you about 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. So if you aren't going to bed until 12 or 1, you're really shortchanging your liver's ability to detox you. And if you're waking up at night, say 3 a.m. every single night, that's an angry liver speaking to you. And you've got to work on your liver function to improve sleep. Also, food chemical sensitivities and seasonal allergies. If your liver is really pushed over the edge, it's really congested, doing a flush you can have your food sensitivities totally disappear just by doing a flush. It's really phenomenal. And then also anger and mood swings. A lot of people that are having angry outbursts, kind of not being able to maintain self-control. Anger is very much seated in the liver. So if it's not functioning optimally and your hormones are out of whack because the liver's congested, definitely you can be more prone to anger and mood swings. It's not that you're just, you don't have control or you're crazy or bipolar or something. Yeah. It could just be your liver's a mess.
Your liver. We'll talk to you about the liver's connection with gut health, and it's really an accessory organ for the gut. But how is it connected, and which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Support the liver, support the gut, support both at the same time.
Yeah. And so, you can support your gut really easy, probiotics and other things like that, but, and eating lots of fiber, but, the liver is really what's signaled when you're eating food. It's signaled to, produce bile to help digest all these fats. And a lot of people don't produce enough bile, and they don't produce thin enough bile. You need this bile to be dumped into the digestive tract to digest all these foods. So a lot of people might be eating tons of fat and not benefiting from the nutrition of those if they're not making enough bile. The liver also helps to coordinate the pancreas to control blood sugar. So a lot of people that have, a poor blood sugar response, they release too much, insulin in response to food that you're eating. If you taste something sweet, your pancreas and liver will coordinate to release insulin. If it releases too much, then you'll have a crazy dip after the meal. You'll feel super, super tired after your meal. So your liver has to be functioning optimally to do this properly. And if you release too much insulin, you also release lots of cortisol also, which will make you feel stressed and also maybe even have a hot flash after you eat. So, the liver, if you calm your liver functioning, if you tend to liver functioning, you can make hot flashes completely disappear. and salvage your pancreas, giving it like a longer biological life as well, because it's not overworking. So the liver and the digestive tract really work hand in hand. And if you improve your diet and you improve your gut function as well, that can make the liver's job easier. Because if you have gut dysbiosis, if you're smoking cigarettes, you're eating tons of sugar, you're eating tons of foods with pesticides in them and glyphosate, all of these things kill off your good gut bacteria, or the sugar makes bad bacteria overgrow. And so we need a balance. About 15% bad, 85% good is ideal. And, you have to have this balance. If not, if you have all this bad bacteria and all the poop that they produce, the liver has to filter all that and makes its job harder. So those two go hand in hand.
Talking about, so more specifically, supporting the liver, I know you mentioned liver flushing. What is that? And then maybe other just essentials from a food perspective, nutrient perspective, and lifestyle perspective for the liver specifically.
Yeah. So as far as foods that support the liver, I love garlic is amazing. I love dandelion greens. Those are fantastic. Lemon is amazing. Lemon water, drinking lemon juice, taking lemon baths. Those are amazing in supporting your liver. Also beets. Beets are amazing. I eat lots of beets, beet greens. I drink beet juices as well. Ginger. I drink lots of beet, ginger juice, apple juice. One of my favorite fresh juices I make is apple lemon ginger. Amazing for the liver. Apple juice contains malic acid. And for about a liter of apple juice, you have about 400 to 600 milligrams of malic acid that really helps to cleanse out the liver. I drink a ton of apple juice. I don't care about the sugar so much because there's pros and cons to all different types of foods. And so if I'm trying to focus on the liver, I will, my liver's maybe feeling it's not happy with me for various reasons, then I will drink a lot of apple juice. I'll also drink grape juice. Also really amazing for the liver, and you get lots of nutrients with these too. So those are great liver supporting foods. And then I do coffee enemas a couple times a week. Those are amazing to really mechanically kind of wring out the liver like a sponge, and also to help it dump its toxic contents into the intestines for elimination. And the caffeine in the coffee enema is what helps give that enema kind of a hormetic stress effect to accomplish that toxin dump into the intestine so you can get rid of it. And then liver flushing, I kind of model mine after the classic Andrea Moritz liver flush. And but I have a program that can teach people how to flush their liver properly and just teach them why on earth they want to do all these things. And it's called the 14-day liver rehab cleanse. And you can go on store.myersdetox.com and you'll see a big sign for the 14-day liver rehab cleanse, or go on the programs menu and it's down there as well. And that's a great kind of little mini course. It's $21, but it's a great little course I put together that really answers everyone's questions about how to take care of the liver, why you want to take care of your liver for life. And you can, use these tools, for the rest of your life. And there's about 9 videos, 3 webinars, transcripts of everything, lots of a very detailed program guide, how to do coffee enemas, how to do liver flushes. And so liver flushes are super important to flush out all this debris that's in your liver. And it's not always pleasant. I mean, people tend to get nauseated when they're doing it. Anytime you're nauseated, it's a sign your liver is backed up. I used to have nausea a lot, and it just drove me nuts. And I realized it was tied to my liver. I never get nauseated anymore because I'm consistently focusing on my liver. And so doing things on a near daily basis to help it. And so, but the liver flushing, you do a thing where you're drinking apple juice or just water with malic acid in it and lemon juice. And you do that for a few days, really build up this malic acid in your liver. And then I have people drink a about a cup of olive oil mixed with some lemon juice, and on like that third or fourth day, drink that down. And then I have people take some ozonated magnesium, and this really helps to get in and clean out that colon, and also makes you go to the bathroom the next day. And then just doing that process once a month, a few times, dramatically can help to skyrocket energy, brain function, and help to reverse a lot of the different symptoms and issues that I mentioned earlier. Really is a phenomenal process, not always terribly pleasant, especially the first time, but definitely necessary. It will prevent liver issues, liver cirrhosis, gallstones, gallstone attacks and things like that, really, which a lot of people deal with today. Not to mention fatty liver.
Yeah, and not to mention that. A couple of last questions. One would be with Herxheimer reactions. Tell us what that is, why that's happening, and how to mitigate those.
Yeah, detox reactions or Herxheimer reactions or HERXing, big reason why people just don't want to deal with detoxing. Or they try a detox and they feel like crap, and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that again. But when you're thinking about detoxification, you have to take a binder. So the number one mistake people make is not taking a binder. Taking a binder will absorb all these toxins you're releasing into your system, or releasing out of these storage sites where the body has stored this stuff away in your fat, your bones, your nervous system, your muscle tissue, wherever, your organs, wherever they are. And so you have to take something to absorb this stuff like a sponge. So binders are great to dramatically reduce HERX reactions. Doesn't work for everyone. You have to drink a lot of water as well, and drink the right kind of water, what I talked about before. Another way you can, if you do all that stuff, you've checked all those boxes, and you're still having HERX reactions, or also coffee enemas. Coffee enemas, amazing way to reduce headaches and pain and other detox reactions. People don't have pain so much, but if you have pain, with people don't have pain when they're detoxing. But I'm just saying, if you have pain, coffee enemas are a great way to reduce those. Mm-hmm. But people do get headaches, they do get nauseated, they do get fatigued, and so doing a coffee enema is a great way to relieve those symptoms. But if you've done all those things and you still don't feel well, you may need to take a step back and do some other preparatory things and lay the foundation so that when you do attempt detox again, it's an easier process. And so for that, I recommend people, do a series of coffee enemas for a while before they're trying any detox supplements. If they can't do that, I recommend, mineralizing the body. Mineralizing the body gets it working so much better. Doing liver flushing as well, proper hydration, getting the lymph flowing as well. If you're doing all those things and you're still having problems, then I go to bioenergetics, where, many times people just have too many issues going on in their body. We don't want to throw more gasoline on that fire and mobilize all these toxins out of storage sites. We just got to get the body working better. Got to get the person sleeping better. Need to get the person have a little bit more energy, get them functioning in their life. And so that's where bioenergetics comes in, where I do a program called Nest Health, where they get a scanner sent to their house, the biofeedback scan. It tests about 500 different data points. And doing that program for a few months, maybe even 6 months, maybe 12 if they're really ill, doing that really can get people to a place where they're feeling better so that they can detox and have an easier go of it.
Definitely will be putting links to connect for that in the show notes. Okay, your very last question is just Wendy Myers. What does Wendy Myers, a day in the life of you, look like, from what you eat, what your lifestyle habits are like, fitness, all just the fun things?
Ooh, I like this question. Yeah. So what I do is I usually, I really prioritize sleep. I have always prioritized that. So I make sure I get in bed by 10 at the latest. so that I'm kind of winding down and asleep by 11. And then I don't wake up to an alarm clock. I've always hated that. So I always just let my body wake up naturally. And I think that's because I want to get my deep REM sleep. So that's what I do. And I don't get that if I go to bed late. It never fails. The later I go to bed, the earlier I will even wake up. It really disturbs my sleep. So I wake up naturally. I have a cup of coffee. I drink Purity coffee. It's like a mold-free, toxin-free coffee. And then I will try to do some sort of exercise. Usually it's a walk, but I do some rebounding as well, do some light weights, or just try to do something to get my body moving. And then I usually don't eat till about 1 or 2 p.m. because I'm just not hungry. And so that's also, I just need less food. I'm almost 50 years old. So, you know, I need a lot less food than I used to. So I skip breakfast, and that's what works for me. Doesn't work for everybody. But that's what I like. And then I usually eat 2 meals a day. And like today, I just made some oatmeal. I made some slow cooking oatmeal with blueberries and apples and cinnamon and stevia and hemp seeds, and I'll probably add some banana and walnuts to it. So, and then for dinner, I just made some Chinese stir fry. So lots and lots of fresh vegetables. And, you know, I do eat grains. They don't really bother me so much, but gluten is a big problem for me. So I don't eat that, but I eat most of the other grains. And then I have a garden. I do sprouting. So I grow tons and tons of sprouts. I do a lot of juicing and things like that. And then I'll do at least one detox thing where I'm either doing a coffee enema, or I'm doing an infrared sauna, or I'm doing like a Rife. I have a Rife machine, RIFE. I do a Rife session. It's a light therapy session. I do biofield tuning, biofieldtuning.com. It's amazing. I just have a lot of different bioenergetic modalities that I use, including my own pendant. I have a Harmony pendant that's amazing for stress reduction and EMF protection. So I just, you know, think a lot about EMF protection as well and whatnot. So that's a whole other podcast. But yeah, so that's really my lifestyle. And what else do I do? I think that supplements, you know, I take a lot of mitochondrial enhancing supplements. I like mitochondrialwellness.com. These are these amazing mitochondria supplements that I take because, you know, the name of the game is your mitochondria. If you don't make enough energy, you're going to have all kinds of problems, immune system issues, leaky gut, leaky brain. You won't be able to repair and restore your body. You won't be able to detox. I mean, most health issues stem from mitochondrial disease, mitochondrial issues. And so you want to feed your mitochondria and detox them. I talk a lot about heavy metals that cause fatigue, like arsenic, aluminum, tin, thallium, and cesium, and how to detox those because they poison enzymes that transport nutrients into your mitochondria. So you've got to remove those roadblocks if you want them to work. So I take things like my Ageless AF supplement has a silica that removes those. And then my CitraCleanse binder helps to absorb toxins while you're detoxing. And so those are super key. But I take a lot of other stuff too. I take zinc and iodine and lots of minerals, trace minerals for detoxification.
Yeah. Oh man. Day in the life of Wendy Myers. I love it.
It's a full-time job.
I know, but it sounds so great. And that's why your skin looks beautiful and yeah, you don't look like you're about to be 50. So
yeah, it's just my healthy lifestyle. Seriously. It's, you know, definitely getting rid of all those toxins, gets rid of all those things that age you.
Yeah, 100%. That's a whole nother podcast too.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for coming on, and we will definitely be keeping up with your work. I know you have a quiz too, the liver quiz, right?
Yeah. So I know maybe listening, you got maybe piqued your interest on toxins, but I created a little quiz to help you to kind of get, an idea of your body burden of toxins. And you can go take that. So just a couple minutes at heavymetalsquiz.com. And after you take that, you get a free video series that answers a lot of people's frequently asked questions about like how long does detox take and metals testing and just a lot of questions that people have. Where do I start?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you get back out there to breaking some rules in the detox world. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, and you guys can find me at myersdetox.com, and I have hundreds of articles, hundreds of free podcasts as well, the Myers Detox Podcast, that really covers everything you could possibly imagine regarding detoxing your body and your life and your home.